call the meeting order. First order of business on our agenda. And to say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First order is any public hearings. And I do not see any public hearings on our agenda. Next item on our agenda is amendments and adoption in relation to the agenda. Any amendments?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Nothing, Your Worship.
Nothing from me, Your Worship.
Nothing for me, Your Worship.
Thank you. May I have a motion then to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the minutes of December, what date was that, of the last meeting? Thank you.
Your Worship, but that was the adoption of the amendment.
We need the agenda.
Go ahead.
No, we have no add-on items.
Sorry.
So I'm moving to adopt the minutes.
Yeah.
Agenda. Move to adopt
Or the agenda, I mean, sorry, yes. Yes.
Any questions? No? All in favor? Carried. Now we'll get to the minutes of the previous meeting of December the 18th. Is there...
Your Worship, it reads December 18th, but is it to be the 11th regular council meeting minutes?
Yes.
The 4th, December
4th. Okay, so it's not December 18th.
Page 1.
Your Worship, I would move that we accept the minutes of the December 4th, 2013 regular council meeting minutes.
Comments? None? Seeing none, I call a vote. All in favor? And carried. And our first item on the delegations is donations to the Strathmore Christmas Hamper Society. Do we have a representative? We do? Okay. This is the first time I've done this, so you're going to have to help me in regards to this as to what our correct protocol is, please. So.
There isn't one.
On that side. Over there, on the other side.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Your correct name?
Dave Collins.
Dave Collins is a representative of the Strathmore Christmas Hamper Society. And what we did is council and administration collected $450 to give to the Christmas Hamper Society. So on behalf of us, to you, Merry Christmas.
Thank you indeed. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Can I just say a few very brief words, Your Worship? This year we filled 189 hampers, and I'm told by your FCSS staff that we could have filled 5 more today and probably 5 more every day until Christmas. But anyway, we have to have a cutoff. But so 189, and this is the lowest figure now since 2008, which is good. We peaked at the recession of 2009 when we filled 242 hampers. So we're down now to 189, which has got to be a good sign that the economy is improving. I managed to shame Global TV to come out and do a little presentation, and they did I think they did a good job promoting our society and the town, I hope. And again, thank you very much for your support as a town and as individuals. And also, could I just say thank you very much to all of your FCSS staff for all the valuable support. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda, 5.2, is Miss Deirdre Schneidmiller. Is that how it's pronounced? Schneidmiller? Yes? Deirdre, would you like to come in and address the council? You may have a chair there if you wish.
This is only for me too, so you have to help me out. So, due to some different circumstances financially, my property taxes got behind, and then with all the penalties that were put on top, it's now become a bill that I just can't pay. So my mother was sick, I had to leave to go to New Zealand, and the monthly payments got stopped because I wasn't here, and then the penalties got put on, more penalties, more penalties, more penalties. So I'm just here to see if there can be a reduction of some sort.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to talk with administration in regards to the different options that are available to you?
Well, I was on the monthly plan, and then while I was gone, of course, I wasn't here to pay those, so I got taken off that. That's where the trouble happened. And then I found it, I think it was Elizabeth, she was on vacations. I talked to Steve Graychak. He was going to do something, and everything seemed to be stalled. I don't know for what. And then there was elections, and then they didn't get back to me for a while. I apologized for the delay. So it just seems like there was one delay after the other. But, I mean, penalties kept getting put on top, on top, on top, on top. So,
Okay.
there was a couple of other situations too, but for confidentiality and privacy, I don't know if I should say it in front. I mean, I can give you.
No, we're not
information.
asking for any information
Yeah.
in that regards at this point. Is there any other questions? What I would encourage you to do, first of all, Ms. Snide-Miller, is to talk with administration in regards to the tax matter and see what kind of options they can make available to you to resolve your issue. For council to remove the outstanding taxes at this point, we're in a very difficult position to be able to do that because you have not addressed the issue with the tax department directly, first of all. So you need to talk with them. We have had other situations where there have been people that have had some difficulties, and they come up with a plan to resolve the issue.
Yeah, and it's not the taxes. I don't mind paying the taxes. I get that. It's just all the penalties that they just keep putting on. You know, and it just gets. I mean, when you can't pay it in the first place, putting more penalties on just makes it a mountain. So.
Yeah. Okay. But what you need to do is you need to start the negotiations with the administration, with the tax officer, first of all. Would you like to ask a question?
Just for clarification, Ms. Seibel, you indicating, and you can point out if I'm off base, you've indicated that your position is with relation to the penalties, and that the penalties were put on because of miscommunication on the part of town staff, or because they were away. You said you spoke to people that were involved with your case at the time, or you attempted to, and it didn't come to fruition.
Right.
And so your case is regarding the penalty, not the taxes.
Yes.
And you also made comment about problems with confidentiality, and you said you were unsure if you should talk about that at this point in time.
Yeah.
So my question to you would be, or my comment to you would be that if it's something that you want to deal with here, you certainly have that option.
Yeah. But I don't want to be charged with defamation of character or anything. If it goes outside of here.
It's live.
Exactly. That's why I don't know what I don't want to be in trouble with the law either. I mean, I can give that to you individually if you want, but I don't think I want that.
So my recommendation would be that if it's concerns with staffing, that's something that this council doesn't deal with. That's always dealt with through our CAO.
Oh, no, not the confidentiality for that part.
Oh, I see.
It's just people that are involved with me
I see.
that have contributed to the lack of funding.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. I understand. Thank you.
That's it.
That's it. And I guess I would like to have a commitment from you that you're going to talk with administration, with the tax officer, and see what you can come up with in regards to resolving your issue. That's where we need to ask you to start.
Right, but so the penalties are still all going to be on there, and
At this point, yes.
okay.
Because we have not had the opportunity to sit down and discuss the issue with you. When I say we, I don't mean council, I mean the office of the tax department.
Yeah, they just told me this is what was the route I had to take, so I'm just doing what they told me.
I think that's likely what was said, was that you could bring it to council.
Yeah.
And you have brought it to council, and now council is advising you to go back to the tax department and enter negotiations in regards to that.
Okay.
Okay? I appreciate that. Thanks very much. Our next delegation is the 2013 Strathmore ATV Financial Alberta Cup. Do we have the representatives in the office, in the room? Evening.
Worship Council.
Hi.
So I guess I'll kind of start this off. There's kind of twofold the reason I guess that we're here. One, I guess we'll start. My name is Wayne Hanson. I'm one of the co-chairs of the 2013 and 2014 Alberta Cup. This is Blair Wilson, who is also a co-chair. He's also the president of Strathmore Minor Hockey. So first thing that we're here to do is, you've been presented with the post report of last year's event, which was an incredible success. I know many of the councillors were there, stopped in to see, and as you can see through the report, it was just a resounding success for the entire community. So we're here to answer any questions that you have of that report and stuff moving through it. And then the second part is to ask council to, again this year with the event, to maintain their sponsorship level that was last year, which was a $10,000 donation, and the donation of the ice and the salt.
So we're open for questions then? Ready? Councilor Sobel?
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you. Good report, by the way. I guess the one issue that I guess I'd like some clarification on is in regards to security. It's been my experience that as soon as you remove a security is when you need it. And with this many people, this many teams, and especially realizing that hockey is an emotional game, I've seen witnessed in the past where some security in similar situations is beneficial. So I know you're talking about a reduction. I hope you're talking about a reduction because it does say reducing security would free up about half the shifts. But I would caution you and hope that you realize that some security presence is going to be necessary, and I really urge you to continue on in that light.
Absolutely. We had, I believe it was 7 to 8 security shifts on pretty much all day long, and it proved to be too much.
Okay.
Like we had 2 people standing over at the Civic Center at one point, just standing there for hours staring at the walls. So it's not a reduction because we don't feel it's needed. It's just it was too much. We were over-secured.
And one of the greatest fears that we have, when you're dealing with this many volunteers, is volunteers want to feel like they're being used. So when they're standing there and there's really nothing going on, because at parts over in the Civic Center, maybe the only thing going on was the team meals. So the catering staff was quite able, and since there were teams in there all the time, they knew if somebody was out of place and wasn't to be in there. So having security over there, they really just sat there staring at the walls.
And being attached to the high school, we weren't sure how much traffic would be there. So that was one of the positions we were considering just removing.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Peterson?
Thank you, Your Worship. Looking at your financials, I noticed that you had a $17,000 deficit, and you expressed very well, and as I echo Bob's great report, that the press box was the major reason for that overrun. And so you're expecting then to recover that, and then some this year, which makes it very hopeful in terms of looking at the overall financials for the 2 years. Do you have a perspective that you can give town council that would motivate us to put that $10,000 to work for you again?
Well, part of it was the reason for it was just more time. Council 1 didn't have money to front the repairs or the press box being built, okay? Which, turns out to be, over $40,000, right? So a significant amount of money. So the best way we found to do that was for us to front it and then through sponsorship over 2 years to recoup those costs. Now remember, any of the profits that come from this, okay, 50% of the profits from this event will be put into a separate fund, which was talked about through the Minor Hockey Board for, a new facility at that time, right? So while minor hockey, we're hoping, yes, that we're going to recoup all of this, but it was also the town's way. It was a way of us to improve the facility without council actually having to foot the full bill. And because minor hockey had the funds available to them, we just thought it most prudent that we do it this way.
So based on this and the prospectus and the report, it's reasonable to assume that you may make a $25,000 profit.
We may.
It's reasonable to assume.
Yes. Correct.
Somewhere in that realm.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, just for clarification, this is actually a question through the chair to admin, and I just want to double check on this. This $10,000 that we did last year for the first year, or the first hosting of the Alberta Cup, was that a donation of $10,000 or was it an advance?
It was a donation.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
Any further questions?
Well, I have one more.
Go on, by all means, please.
Have you had any further indication from Hockey Alberta regarding that $10,000 fee?
We have, about 2 weeks ago, I guess, we received an email from them that the fee would stay in place for this season and would be reevaluated at that time.
As of now, they're standing behind it, yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
the way I'm reading this, the $10,000 host fee new for 2013, when you were in front of us a year ago, or whenever that was before the last one, you were unaware of this fee?
No, we were.
You were aware of the fee? Oh.
And we knew that was there. The only,
Why does it say new for 2013?
it was a new fee for 2013. So we're now here for the 2014 Cup. They had never charged a fee
Right.
for the previous events.
Hockey Alberta had never charged a fee for it.
That's the annoying part.
Exactly. And, so we knew that when we got into when we entered into the bid process.
No, go ahead, Councilor.
Sorry, question through the chair to Wayne. I read in your final report that there's an option for you guys your association to run it for a third year.
There is.
Is that typically and easily accomplished, or is it a formality, or do you have to kind of apply for it again? Or?
We would have to apply for it again. The bid packages have not yet gone out for the next Alberta Cup. Just by coincidence today, I was at the Max Tournament press conference with the Bisons, and I happened to run into Greg, who's our liaison with Hockey Alberta, was at that press conference, and we briefly touched on this subject about the fact that the next bids haven't gone out. So sometime within the next couple of months, they're going to be asking us if we have an interest.
Does your committee know if you want to try for a third one, or is it just wait and see how this next one goes, or is that?
I'll be honest with you, we have not sat down and had a whole lot of conversation about next year's event yet.
Okay.
With hockey getting started, with my involvement with the Bisons and minor hockey, and Blair just coming in, taking over from me as president of minor hockey, it's been hectic. So
We've only sat down once as a committee for the Alberta Cup for this year.
Okay. Thank you.
John, or Councilor?
Yeah, through the chair to Wayne. And I might be wrong on this, but I somehow was under the impression that the $10,000 and the free ice for that tournament was going to be for both years.
let let me clarify that. It was an agreement, but last year's council, okay, the previous council to this one, did not feel comfortable making the decision for this, and had asked us at that point
To come back.
if we would be fine to come back and just run it past council.
Okay.
You are correct in that, last year's council agreed that they would love to support it for 2 years, but they would prefer if we bring it back.
Okay, thank you.
That's exactly what we're doing. Thank you.
Your worship?
Councilor Bufflin?
Yes, based on the success this tournament provided Strathmore and the area in the last, in the 2013 year, I would like to move that council,
I'd like to ask some questions first.
okay, sorry.
You can ask questions.
You can still ask questions after the motion.
Okay, go ahead and make the motion then, Councilor Bufflin.
Want me to continue?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, Your Worship, thank you. I would like to move based on the success of the 2013 tournament, and the previous council was aware this was a 2-year commitment, that we continue our sponsorship on the 2014 tournament in the tune of $10,000. As well as
The ice.
donating the ice and the use of the Civic Center for the entire event.
A couple of questions, if I may. The $10,000 hockey fee that you pay to Hockey Alberta, is any of that returned to your committee?
No. It's used through the fees that they charge for kids to try out, and then the fee once they make the team, and the money that we pay them, it all goes into a pool that pays for their accommodations here in town. It pays for the food. So they use it just to run their program, to have the kids here.
In regards to the press box, the $43,000, was that fully funded by the committee?
Yes, it was fully funded by Strathmore Minor Hockey, and with some donations in there on top of that from some local trades.
Okay. The $10,000 that was advanced last year, it was a donation and there wasn't any sort of an indication if there was a surplus that part or some of that money would be returned?
The only discussion on that was if they made a profit, then they would pay some back possibly.
Okay.
And that's where the conversation came in about the proceeds that would be put into a new facility fund.
And that's what
That
you,
would come from this, and that
makes perfect
is
sense.
still the intention that, if we make $50,000, that $25,000 of that would get put into a separate fund held by minor hockey solely for the building and development of the new facility.
And just to expand a little bit in regards to your $10,000 that the Alberta hockey fee, do you have any idea approximately how much money was spent in this community by all those people that came and played hockey and watched hockey? Would I be incorrect by saying the money that was spent in this community might have exceeded $300,000?
Yeah, we presented council last year with a, I don't even know what you call it. Projection. Well, Hockey Alberta had done studies on the amount of money that comes into the community, and it was in excess of $300,000 with hotel rooms, food, everything else that they're spending in town at the local stores.
I know they cleaned out our grocery store on fruits and vegetables the first day.
Darn, huh?
Yeah, so, so a lot of our restaurants and some of that stuff, they were taking, even though they knew it was coming, a lot of it was a lot like council. When we came in here last year and said, the building would be packed from morning to night, we got that deer in the headlight look from some councillors. Councillor Rempel, even you, there's no way. Well, I can tell you, from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, there wasn't a seat to be had in that building.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, I was there.
It's quite a sight.
You mentioned in your report that the fee for the programs might have been a little bit, they might have been underpriced. Have you reconsidered your program charge? You don't need to answer that, that's okay.
That's all part of what we are discussing, is on our list of things that we need to discuss.
Okay. So then, and you still have a question?
Mr. Hanson has answered my question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Then the next question that I have is in regards to this motion that's been made for the $10,000 donation. Do we have to pass a bylaw in regards to this, or?
No.
Okay. So in other words, it's in the budget. We have a motion on the floor. Any questions?
However, just as a friendly amendment, that should be indicate where that money should be coming from.
Okay.
Yes, financial stabilization.
So that would be my friendly amendment to add the words to be taken from the stabilization account,
Financial stabilization.
financial
account.
stabilization account. If that's in agreement with Councillor Block.
Oh, yes, that's no problem.
Any further discussion in regards to the motion that's on the floor? No? All in favor? And it's carried.
Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks.
excellent.
So I just wanted to say one other thing, and first of all, Tracy Simpson, who is here and, you know, as you all know very well, I just want to thank, the town for hiring her. I can tell you that she's been a huge benefit, not only to us. I mean, she got hired shortly after we got awarded this, and her work on this and other projects has been fantastic. So we just wanted to express our appreciation for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Speech.
I'm gonna have a hard time getting out of this building.
I have to give her a raise now.
Our next item is bylaw 6.1, Town of Strathmore fees, bylaw 13-21. And who will be representing that?
That will be me, Your Worship. Administration is bringing forward a fees bylaw. It's in your packages. It's a bylaw that will combine all the fees for the town into one bylaw. The benefits of doing this is that council will be able to review the fees every year and make necessary changes to the bylaw by resolution, and it won't require 3 readings. It's also beneficial for all the fees to be in one location for easy reference. The fees in the bylaw are the current fees, except there is a 10% increase for fees for the Family Center, Civic Center, and Aquatic Center. And there's also a proposed increase for the cemetery and animal control fees. There's one amendment that I would like to make that's not in there at the moment, and that's to Schedule A. That's page 31 of your package. And the amendment that I would like to make there, wherever it says $7.50 per quarter hour, I'd like it to read "or portion thereof." So it would say $7.50 per quarter hour or portion thereof on that schedule. And administration is recommending all 3 readings this evening. Just to note, if all 3 readings are given, unanimous consent will be needed for a 3rd reading.
Do we have any questions?
I have an amendment. I'll wait for the motion.
Worship, I'd move the council give first reading to bylaw 13-21, Town of Strathmore fees bylaw.
We have a motion on the floor.
Your Worship?
Yes.
Your Worship, I'd like to propose an amendment. I'd ask council to refer to page 38. I'd like to propose an amendment to bylaw number 1321, Schedule D, which is the Community Services Family Center, under passes, seasonal, where you go across that line to where it says non-resident. The proposed amendment would be to remove the non-resident fees in Schedule D, effective immediately, or effective January 1st. I'm prepared to speak to that.
I think that has to come in as a separate motion, doesn't it? Because we're
Your Worship.
dealing with readings now, we're not dealing with,
Go ahead.
Sorry, Your Worship, it could come as a motion for 2nd reading with an amendment to as Councillor Pearson indicated.
When I read the rules of order, that's not what I understand.
There's no discussion on first reading.
Right,
After second reading.
but you
there's
can make an
discussion.
amendment on first reading.
Yeah, after the second reading, there's discussion and room for
I'm good,
that.
I'm good with that.
So we have the first reading then?
I will withdraw the amendment.
Thank you. First reading of bylaw 13-21, Town of Strathmore bylaw fees. All in favor? And it's carried unanimously. So second reading,
I move that council give second reading to bylaw number 13-21, Town of Strathmore fees bylaw. Any discussion?
any discussion?
At this point in time, Mr. Mayor, I would propose an amendment to bylaw 1321, Schedule D, to remove the non-resident fees.
Do we have any discussion in regards to this?
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay. Would you like to speak to your motion, please?
In previous discussions in this chamber that have not been in depth, my understanding is that the Family Center brings in about $500,000 in fees and revenue, and that $15,000, approximately $15,000 of that, comes from non-resident fees. My math is marginally correct. That's about 0.3% of the total amount. If we take that 0.3% and we make that consideration of that $15,000 in consideration of the tax fees that are paid by Strathmore residents, it is an absolutely minuscule amount. The same non-resident fee, however, has caused a great deal of consternation in our county residents and has impacted our relationship with our county, which we have seen in our county meetings, in our meetings with our county counterparts. I did some research through looking at old minutes where this non-resident fee was first introduced. And it appeared that one of the reasons for it was that in the initial building of the Civic Center, of the Family Center rather, that the county did not contribute to that cost. And I can stand to be corrected at any time. Then council at that time introduced a non-resident fee because they believed that the money that was due them through county participation would be recovered through non-resident fees, and that they would keep that there until such a time as that number that they had in mind at that time would have been met. There was a time then when I believe the non-resident fee was removed by council. It was proposed to be removed, but never was. Thank you. So I'm thinking that now, in a new era of cooperation and collaboration with our county partners, some of which I was privileged to see in a meeting with Councillor Blockland last night, relating to other collaborative projects, I think that it behooves us to move forward in a collaborative mode, in the hope that our county will work with us in the future to build more collaboration into our community recreation processes, whether they be in this town or in the county, and that this will reflect a commitment to future collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sobel.
Well, I guess I would start by saying that this is not, I've never seen this as an anti-county charge. This is a non-resident charge, and I think the distinction has to be very clear that this is a non-resident charge, and it's always been my understanding that the reason why a municipality has a non-residence charge is because if you don't have one, then your residents are paying more to support that pool, in this instance, than non-residents. Because not only do they would they both pay the same admitting charge, but the residents would also be paying taxes on it. And I find that unfair. I find it unfair that our residents would pay more to get into the pool than a non-resident. So I just look at this as evening the game, and $15,000 may not mean much to anyone on council, but it means much. It means $15,000 to me that my taxpayers don't have to pay. So I object to this. I want to continue having and pursue good relations with all of our neighbors. And the fact of the matter is we have people coming to our pool that are not necessarily from the county all the time. They're from the city of Calgary. They're from other locations that drive to our pool, and that's why we have a non-resident. It's not a county charge. It's a non-resident charge, and I think we owe it to our taxpayers to even the score so that they're not paying more. Thank you.
Councillor Walls. Your Worship, to Dr. Stanford. Is it normal to have non-resident charges? Do other municipalities have that?
I'm sorry, I don't know. I've never asked.
I think
Councillor.
Jennifer is trying to answer.
Other municipalities do have non-resident charges. I don't know all of them that do, but Airdrie is one, for instance, that does. That's just one that I know of, but I know that, yes, it does exist in other communities.
Thank you.
And I think Councillor Rempel was next. Or no, Councillor Field, okay. Please.
Thank you, Your Worship. A question through the chair to administration, just for clarification. I agree with what Councillor Sobel is saying, that we do need to have these fees for the use of the facility, because our primary duty is to the Strathmore residents. Those are the people who voted for us, and they expect us to stand for them. And my question, though, is for clarification: why is the non-resident fee higher than the resident fee? I'm just wondering, maybe it should be the same. Is there a reason that it's higher than the residents?
Well, I think Councilor Sobel already addressed that.
Did you? I didn't understand. Did you say why the? I don't think you answered. Did you why the non-resident fee is higher than the resident fee?
Well, if they were the same,
Then you wouldn't need it.
then our residents would be paying more, because you have to include the taxes that they pay on the pool, which is a money losing proposition. We lose over $1 million in that facility.
I guess I would like to, just if I could, to finish then, I don't know if this is enough of a compromise for what Councillor Peterson is saying, is I would be more inclined to keeping, if we're going to have a fee, keep it the same as the town. I realize we'd be biting the bullet on the taxes and that, but I think it would still be a compromise so that everybody's paying the same fee to use the place. It would be a lot less than if they don't pay at all.
Councillor Rempel?
Yeah, through the chair, Your Worship, I don't know if that's such a big deal with the county, especially with the council, and or the users, because if it was a big deal, then I believe that they would go to their council and ask them to do something about it. But the council hasn't seen it to contribute towards this, so therefore I don't think it's a big deal out there for most of the residents. Or is that not how they would approach it? Would they not go to their council first if it was an issue?
The citizens go to their council?
Yes.
I can't answer what other people are going to do,
No.
Councillor Rempel, but I would assume that they would normally go and talk to their council if they have an issue they need to discuss.
Councillor Sobel? Just one quick comment. For some reason, I mentioned pool, but of course I was talking about the skating rink. Just to clarify, thank you.
Councillor Copeland?
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Peterson mentioned, did I hear right? Were you talking about 0.3 or 3%?
0.3%,
0.3,
yes,
which is less than 1%, right?
that's correct.
Okay. Well, I got it figured out, it works out to 3%.
Well, I'm going by, I looked at this, but I was also going by the numbers in the budget and the numbers that Tracy Simpson gave to us earlier.
Well, I'm using your numbers.
Yeah.
You said
So
500,000?
500,000.
500,000 revenue, and 15,000 a year from non-resident?
I would stand corrected. It could be that.
That works out to 3%, which is still probably a minor number. My point is 15,000 a year is minuscule, I agree, but after the second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, it works up to 75,000, 90,000. Next thing you know, we're at 100,000. It's a money-losing facility we have sitting here in this town that it has to be paid for some way or another. It has to be operated as such. I'm an avid golfer, and when I'm out in the mountains golfing, non-resident fees are quite common. It has nothing to do with the Strathmore Family Center, but this is just a fact of life. So I would support, I'd be against that amendment myself too.
Any other discussion?
To close? Go ahead.
Before I allow you to close, I'm torn in regards to this amendment. I really am torn. I realize it's $15,000, and that works out to approximately $1 per house in regards to taxes. Doesn't sound like very much.
It isn't.
And that's 1 year, and then you carry on down the road. But I would like to come up with a solution that allows us to get rid of the non-resident fees. I would like to come up with a solution. And I know our recreational facilities will always run at a deficit, and they do run at a deficit. But I would like to come up with a solution so that we can legitimately get rid of the non-resident fees. I'm torn in regards to the amendment. So, Deputy Mayor Peterson, I'll allow you to close.
Well, I'm certainly open to suggestions, Your Worship. By all means, feel free. Councillor Fuel has a comment.
Well, as I stated earlier, I don't know if it's enough of a concession or a compromise, but I believe that non-residents should be paying as well because the facilities do need to be operated. And I would think that if I was a resident buying a family pass to the family center, I would be upset that someone who doesn't live in town doesn't have to pay that fee. I would definitely think we'd be hearing about that. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to consider our residents. So I'm still very much leaning towards keeping it the same fee as the residents so that everybody pays the same amount. I realize we'd be losing on tax and that, but or am I wrong in that? Well, can you explain that to me then? Or explain it to us.
Sorry, Councillor Fuel, I'll try.
Okay.
So the residential fee, I guess it's kind of, the non-residential fee is to cover the portion, I guess, per se, of taxes that non-residents don't pay. Therefore, their fee is higher than the resident fee. Well, so residents still have to pay the fee, but the non-residential fee is more than the resident fee, if that makes.
Okay, so you're saying that when the resident pays a certain amount of money, he's also paying in his taxes.
Correct.
That will make it equal to, but the non-residents are paying higher than.
In principle.
Okay, I see.
Councillor Walz.
Your Worship, Dr. Stanford, is it possible to revisit this policy once further negotiations happen with other municipalities or whatever, we decide to enter into some type of agreement in which we're now receiving funds, just hypothetically speaking, from a county in the area, we could revisit this policy anytime?
Give me a couple of examples.
For example, the non-resident fee. We could talk about removing that if there was some other type of negotiation that was...
Sure, if we could do that.
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay, the motion on the floor, do you want it read? Is to remove.
I'm still not finished.
Okay. Counselor, or Deputy Mayor Peterson, please. And we will close after this unless somebody else wants to. No? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I do think, and that there is justice in keeping the fees the same. I do understand that it costs $1 for every household, or the equivalent of $1 for every household for non-residents using our facilities. I don't think that that is too much to expect because those, and in answer to Councillor Sobel saying that it's a not just a county fee, it's also a non-resident fee, but I think it's rational to expect that most of the users that are non-resident are county people. And I do think that having just spent $10,000 of taxpayers' money to support Hockey Alberta makes the case that the $15,000 that our non-residents paying is just not that big a deal, especially for the grief that it causes. And in answer to Councillor Rampel's concern that, and a very good point, you know, has anybody complained? And the answer, Councillor Rampel, is that yes, they have complained. And councillors at this table have certainly sat at county council chambers when that has been articulated very clearly, that they find it difficult, that their constituents find it also unacceptable. The $1 a household, I think, is a really good exchange for the fact that county people shop in our community. They don't have to, but they do. They eat in our restaurants, and they contribute in many, many other ways. And when people in the satellite area of Strathmore, when they leave our community, they don't say they're from the county of Wheatland, they say they're from Strathmore. And we either are one community or we're not. And I think that there's been far too much made of the fact that we are a separate entity when we're not. And it has not worked to our advantage. So I am all with Councillor Fuel for saying that non-residents should pay the same as residents, that they shouldn't get it for free, absolutely not. But at the same point in time, it makes sense to move forward in a spirit of collaboration, to be one community in all things, whether it's working with Wodemsa, whether it's working with Hockey Alberta, or whether it's working for all sports facilities in our community, for all of our community. Thank you.
Councillor,
Just got to make a correction. It's not $1 per household. There's only 4,000 residences in the
dollar per citizen.
So $1 per citizen?
Yeah, $1 per
Thank you.
citizen.
Yes, I understood that too.
And I wrote that down too,
Yeah.
per citizen. That's my error, sorry.
Thank you.
$1 per citizen. So the amendment is on the floor. Did you want the amendment read again?
Question.
No one wants the amendment read? So all in favor of the amendment that the non-resident fees be removed? All in favor? I'm going to vote. Those opposed? Your amendment's defeated. So we have the bylaw on the table for second reading. And we have the motion on the floor for the second reading. Okay.
Your Worship?
Yes.
Could I make a friendly amendment to the motion and add to the motion that non-resident fees be exactly the same as resident fees? I realize there's a difference in taxes that they don't pay. Is that?
Yeah.
We just
Just
voted that down.
No, it's a different amendment.
No, it's a different amendment. It's an amendment. Councillor Peterson's was to remove it totally, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No fee at all?
No.
No.
Just to remove
No,
the
you're right.
extra
I
charge.
said to remove the resident. It's not what I meant. I meant what
Oh,
you meant. But yeah.
okay.
Now that you say that, you're absolutely correct.
Okay. All right, then I withdraw that.
You're withdrawing your...
I sure am.
Okay.
No,
So-
you want it to be the same.
I would like to see the fees the same as residents.
So make that amendment.
Okay, my amendment would be, Your Worship, since I'm getting confused, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that the non-resident fee be exactly the same as resident fees.
We just voted on that.
No, it's a different.
No, hers was different.
It was-
Hers was totally removing it.
Councillor Sobel.
Could I get the first motion, Councillor Peterson's motion, read, please?
That council gives second reading to bylaw 1321, Town of Strathmore fees bylaw with an amendment to remove the non-resident fee in Schedule D.
To remove the fee,
To remove the fee.
the non-resident fee. So there would only be one fee, they'd all be paying a residential fee.
Councillor Fleury would like to
Residence fee.
change his vote. It won't change the outcome.
So is your motion still on the floor, Councillor Field?
I don't think it's necessary now that I've heard it back.
So you're removing?
I am removing the amendment.
Your amendment? Pardon me. All righty, second reading is on the floor. All in favor of second reading? Carried? Opposed?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay.
I move for third.
What is the second? We had, I've asked for.
I will vote for it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We had a unanimous on the second. There's a reason for that. Okay, we can now entertain third reading.
I move the council give unanimous consent to a third reading of bylaw 13-21's Town of Strathmore fees bylaw.
Okay. All in favor of the unanimous consent to the third reading? Okay, now we go into third reading, please.
I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 13-21, Town of Strathmore fees bylaw.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes, there is discussion. I just want to say that in spite of my dissent regarding the resident fees, I will vote for this motion because I have no wish to hold up all the other things that are reasonable and rational in this motion for one that is not. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Peterson. All in favor? New business. We have no old business being brought forward? No? Okay. New business, carry forward of the 2013 water and sewer replacement capital funds. And that is on page 51.
Good evening, Your Worship, Council.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
In 2013, we had two capital project budgets for water and sewer main replacements within the town. There was $420,000 budgeted for for water main replacements and $300,000 for sewer main replacements. We did not complete sewer main and water main replacements other than what were incorporated into our major project on Thomas Drive in 2013. So in an effort to take on a more significant project with additional funds, this evening I've come to council to ask that those funds be carried forward into 2014 to be combined with the funds that council have approved as part of the capital budget for 2014 for water and sewer main replacements. The costs that we've been quoted, I've indicated in our budget agenda here, as much as $2,000 per meter for replacement. So it doesn't take long for us to spend the $150,000 that we had in the budget in 2014. So to combine those with the $300,000 budget from 2013 in a carried forward basis would definitely go a little further and get a little more completed, which really is necessary, particularly in the older parts of town, the downtown, the Westmount areas. We still have cast iron water mains in town. We have clay tile sewer pipe. We have, even in our Thomas Drive project, we found some interesting, we'll call them interesting pipes. We had one section of pipe that was a piece of wood. We had basically a piece of wood that was being used as pipe from the old part of town. So we're anticipating that we're going to find a number of issues as we replace these mains. But generally, it's really part of the infrastructure replacement and renewal of the infrastructure in town. So, but I've spoken with our Director of Corporate Services. Initially, the thought was if we could contribute this to a reserve, if we could contribute the funds to a reserve and continue to build that reserve to have a really significant amount available to us, that would be great. But he'd indicated that those funds were being funded through the MSI grant, and we're not able to put MSI grant funding into reserve. They have to be allocated to a project, and so that's what they would go forward into a 2014 project for main replacements.
Councillor Waltz, did you have a question? I'm prepared to make a motion, Your Worship. Okay. Go ahead, Councillor
And
Sullivan.
thank you, and just to clarify, we've checked and we can do this with MSI funding. We can transfer that over to another year, as long as it's going to a specific project. Thank you.
Worship, if council is ready, I'm prepared to move that the council carry forward the 2013.
Which recommendation,
Second.
the second recommendation on second page?
The next page.
Carry forward the 2013 water and sanitary replacement capital project budgets in the amount of $420,000 and $300,000 respectively to be combined with the 2014 capital project budgets for water and sanitary replacements.
Any discussion? No?
I do,
Councillor
actually,
Gill.
Your Worship. Question through the chair to Jesse. What would be the negative downside of this if this did not happen? Like you say, you've said that there is budget enough, but this is to create the reserve. Is that the idea?
Technically, we can't create a
Yeah,
reserve.
I know.
I guess it would be if council wanted to allocate the funds otherwise. I would say that would be one alternative. But the recommendation would be that we contribute the funds to infrastructure renewal within town, where that was intended in the 2013 budget, but unfortunately projects weren't completed. So I guess, the intention, we can't formally create a reserve, but by carrying the funds forward, we can have a more significant project funding available to us for a larger scale project.
I guess my next question, since I've been confused all evening, is if we didn't do this, could that amount of money go somewhere else since it's from the MSI? The MSI grants. Is this amount of money then available for MSI grant funding? Like this grant funding, is it available for other projects then if we decided not to do this? Can that money be, maybe it's to the admin, if this money is not carried forward, can it be put towards other projects?
We put together a memo this week on how MSI funds could be used. I think he's got a copy of it.
Mm-hmm. I guess my next question then is, at what point are we going to start putting major money towards a project like a multiplex? And is this monies that could be earmarked towards that? No?
I think you already answered the question.
I see the head shaking. I just wanted to clarify.
We have, was I,
So it could be used for a major capital project.
Are you finished, Councillor Field?
I am.
Councillor Rempel?
thank you, Your Worship. I would be really disappointed if we were to take that money out of the water and sewer capital for the replacement of our sanitary system, which it direly needs, and put it towards something like, well, I don't even want to mention it, but that to me would be totally irresponsible. Sorry, Councillor Field.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Like I mentioned earlier, it can't go into a reserve.
No.
Yeah.
Councillor Sullivan?
Yeah, and just further, this is about priorities, and I know multiplex is a really nice thing to have, and I support it wholeheartedly. But this is something that is required for our infrastructure. We can't be I won't be messing around with this thing I supported. I guess just one question. Are we planning a project for 14?
Yeah,
In regards to this?
we've looked at, we've had our GIS
Yep.
tech look at where some easy project areas are that we can tackle relatively. The difficulty with the replacements is the servicing, the services that you have to tie in. There are some areas that I think we can get some really good bang for our buck and be able to replace without having to do a significant amount of servicing. So there's some, please, I kind of keep using, but there's some low-hanging fruit out there that we can we can take care of and really not have overly complicated projects, but make that money go further.
Thank you.
So it'll be $1,000 a meter instead of $2?
The servicing is a major contributor to that $2,000 because if we have to take services out of function for an extended period of time, it definitely drives that cost up for sure.
Any further questions?
Just one last comment, Your Worship, if I could. I totally understand that we want to be responsible and make sure that this money goes to something as important as the water and sanitary replacement. But at some point, we're going to have to start allocating serious amounts of MSI funding toward a major capital item like a multiplex. It's got to happen soon. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Fuel. Deputy Mayor Peterson, please.
Councillor Fuel, it would probably happen relatively quickly with the cooperation of our county, which we may not have real soon.
I knew you were going to go there.
We have a motion on the floor. No further discussion. All in favor of the motion? And carried. Request for additional funds in regards to snow removal?
What?
And why?
As it snowed. Yes, Your Worship, through the last 2 weeks since our event on the 2nd of December, it's been a very challenging time for our public works staff, as well as our contractors that we've engaged in assisting us to remove the snow from the roadways and pathways through town. Unfortunately, in our effort to do the best that we can for the town and to basically make the roadways safe and passable, particularly in residential roadways, we had to contract additional contracted services to assist our staff with removal of snow. We have, in the budget for 2013, we had a contracted services budget of $50,000 for assistance with snow removal. As of the storm on the 2nd, we had approximately $30,000 remaining in that budget. We had spent approximately $20,000. The majority of that was the November storm. We had, in the middle of November, we spent approximately $12,000 responding to that event with trucking services alone to haul snow from the roadways in town. In our response to the December 2nd storm, we've engaged a number of additional pieces of equipment in terms of loaders and graders and a number of trucks to both plow as well as pile and remove and assist our blower to remove the snow from the roadways and residential roadways. And that has taken a significant amount of effort, and associated with that a significant amount of money to support that effort. So as of the 11th of December, when the agenda was created, we had estimated our spend, or our final spend, to close out the year. We budgeted an additional trucking effort per day up to the 23rd of December. So we wanted to continue. As of the 11th, we stopped our contracted services other than trucking. So we continued our response with our own fleet and our own staff. Other than trucks, we only have 2 tandem trucks, and so we continue to engage 4 to 5 trucks daily to assist with our removal from town since that time, and plan to continue that through basically the end of the week to assist with our ongoing effort. And now with what we're seeing out here today and into the evening here, I guess we've estimated that we'll need about $102,000 prior to this now event, but we're looking at using our own forces to respond to this, and we're not anticipating this current snowfall to be anywhere near as significant as the December 2nd event. But we'll still continue to respond and do our best to remove the snow from town.
Councillor Wall?
Your worship, to the director, are we winning the battle?
I think we're doing great. Yeah, absolutely. I was in Calgary today. I was on holidays today, or took a day to do some Christmas shopping myself, and I was in Calgary, and I was shocked at the state of the roads in the city. And you hear a lot on the news of the northeast communities. My brother lives in a central community, and his road was impassable. Like I drive a 4-wheel drive truck, and I almost got stuck on his road. I had to throw it into 4 low to get out and on his road. And if I was in a small compact, car, there's no way you could travel that road. And it's a dangerous situation. I mean, there's vehicles abandoned everywhere, and I think on our roads, we've done an excellent job. Unfortunately, it has resulted in some costs, and I think when previous council reduced the budget on the contracted service, we acknowledged at that time that in the event that we had a major event, that we would need some additional funds to really respond in the residential areas the way that we have, to clear the roadways, in essence, throughout town. I mean, we've basically been on every roadway, generally speaking, through town, and that's our goal, is to remove as much snow from every roadway as possible to make them safe and to make them as usable as possible. Closing out 2013, we still have January, February, March, April of 14 with our new 14 budget that we'll have to manage as well. But I think things are going very well. Absolutely.
And my subsequent question, if I can get that out today, is what areas are left, and can you give us a bit of an update as to what's left to do?
Sure. Yeah. Tomorrow, well, we still have some areas in the ranch area. We have some areas in Cambridge Glen that need to be finished off. We've had to juggle things around a little bit as priorities have shifted and more urgent roadways have kind of been identified. For the most part, the snow's been piled largely, and where it isn't safe to pass, I think generally we've taken care of that unsafe roadway situation. But now we're going back to get the piles, and we're going back to get some of the roads that we've made safe but aren't totally plowed. So the ranch, Wildflower first phase of Wildflower Ranch. There's a few other areas in Cambridge Glen and I believe in Maplewood that we still have to finish off. So, but I think generally speaking, we're through at least 85-90% of the town, and we'll use our own forces with some contracted trucks to complete what remains.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No further questions?
Yes.
No. Who was first? Councillor Solomon.
Thank you. First of all, my admiration to you for running this operation. But when I've looked around and driven around and seen the job that that your crew has done, it just seems to me that there's been a real sincere dedication to the job, and I'm not suggesting that they haven't always been dedicated, but just over the last, especially since the big storm, they've done a lot of little things that they didn't have to do. I think could have got away without doing it, but there's a absolute desire to do a really good job on it, and it's very evident. And I mean, I've talked to so many people that if they have any complaints, just drive to Calgary or to. I've heard Airdrie thrown in the mix a couple times, and they come back and this is nirvana. So good job on that, and I'm certainly very pleased with the performance.
Thank you. I'll be sure to pass that on.
Thanks,
staff.
Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair to Jesse. So just that I understand this right, you need an extra $52,000 just to get from December 2nd to December 31st, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And my thoughts too. Great job. Where I live in Maplewood Green, and you guys were in there 2 days ago. The amount of snow you took out of that thing was enormous. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass that on. Thank you.
you want to ask the question?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I just note that in our notes regarding this, there is a note that says,
This was for the MSI.
this is regarding the snow removal,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that there is a note that we can use the funds from 2014, but the accounting principle would need to be understood. And I would just like to make sure from administration that I understand that principle. On page 54, under alternatives. Just like some clarification around that.
It would have to do with taking
Money out of the
taking out
2014.
funds from the future in the budget.
Is that all that
We
has to be understood?
recommend the bottom one. It's the best way to do it.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, good. We need a motion, please.
Your worship, I'd move that council approve an increase of $52,000 to the other contracted services budget for snow removal in 2013 with the additional funds to be withdrawn from the financial stabilization reserve.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And carried.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you very much. And pass on. Job well done. And thank you.
Thank you.
Please do.
From me as well.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Catherine, would you?
Good evening, Your Worship and Council.
Good evening.
This is Darlene Knaus, and she also works for FCSS. I don't know if everybody has had a chance to meet her. So what we would like to bring forward tonight is our free snow removal service for home support services. We have been offering free snow removal services since January 1st, 2013. Our intent has been to provide free snow removal services for our home support clients at an affordable rate and barrier-free. On January 1, 2013, we had approximately 30 to 40 snow removal clients, and now we have between, I think, approximately 68. It changed from when this was written, and a waiting list of about 15 people. The 15 people are not part of our home support services at this time, but they're requesting the free snow removal service. So what we would like to see is a policy to provide us with protocol and procedure on who qualifies for this service. So our recommendation would be that council instruct administration to draw and bring forward a policy regarding qualification of that.
Do we have any questions? Who was first? You? Deputy Mayor Peterson?
No, it wasn't me.
No. Do what?
I didn't have anything.
No?
I might have just moved my hand. I was in an auction for a second there.
Okay, someone make a motion then, please.
And I have a question. I do have a question. I just thought Councillor Field was flailing, and I was
I wasn't
a question.
flailing.
I can hardly wait until we get the buttons.
I just had a question for clarification. What do you mean when you say barrier-free?
We want it so that we can provide the service, and it's not a huge obstacle for seniors and people with disabilities to have that in town. So whether it's financial or physical barriers that they may endure.
So when you're asking for recommendation or recommended action being brought forth by administration, is it your intent then that in terms of the qualification levels that you're looking for identification of qualified clients? So you're looking at a directed service or a directed clientele. So you want to focus on clientele rather than identifying the service specific.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You can make a motion then.
I do make the motion. I recommend that council instruct administration to draft and bring forward a policy regarding qualification for our free snow removal service.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Snow removal. Councillor Walls?
Hi, thank you.
An item you wish to discuss?
Pardon me? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. I was approached by a couple of citizens, elderly citizens, that were having to actually crawl over top of the windrows, and we're putting them up. The lady reported that she was actually had to crawl over top, and she couldn't actually get her vehicle in the driveway. That kind of concerns me a little bit. And if there was a medical reason that we needed to get the ambulance in there, how's that going to work? And also, if she's elderly, she's using her neighbor right now to get him to remove that snow for her. So I'm just wondering if there's some things we can do, some research into how other municipalities are doing this, or offer some suggestions. I know our car got high centered, and this is not just, I understand this year's a little bit different, but this has been a continual issue. So just like to know if there's something we can do for her.
Yes, well, we can definitely look into what potential solutions would be. I would suggest that it's likely going to require additional funds and support from either additional equipment or additional contractors. Our first response in the event of a snowfall is to plow, and I guess that first response is to make sure that the roadway, the driving lane, is safe. Mm-hmm. That results in the windrows being pushed to the side, and the only way to avoid that or to manage that is to remove them immediately after plowing. Right. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen immediately, just based on resources and staffing challenges, I guess, that way with respect to managing windrow on driveways. A number of our priority 1 and 2 roadways have direct access on them, and where our plowing it happens first on the priority 1s and 2s. This snowfall, or this most recent snowfall, and us going into residential areas, and the resulting windrow from our first plow that, when we were keeping the roadways open, again, comes back to that safe driving lane, but then to have a contractor or a crew to go around and follow and remove that immediately thereafter is a very challenging and costly, I'd say, effort. But we can definitely look into it and put together some potential alternatives or solutions to that, and see what that would look like. Within our policy, we do have within the snow plowing section of the policy under 5.5, it says accumulated snow in front of private driveway entrances and or emergency accesses caused by town plowing operations will only be removed by the town for the following reasons, and that's when the natural flow of stormwater is caused by the block snow or by snow or ice, or in the event that the roadway or the boulevard have exceeded snow storage capacity. So our plowing acknowledges that the side of the road is for storage, for snow storage, and that it's the responsibility of the driveway owners to remove that snow from their driveways. But absolutely, if council would like us to look into some alternatives or some solutions or potential options for that and bring them forward to council, we can do that.
Thank you, Jesse.
Councillor Sobel?
Thanks. Well, a couple of things. First of all, I just find it ironic that all of council just congratulated your team on working that and acknowledged that your team isn't finished yet, but yet we want to consider adding a service that is above and substantial. If we're going to start clearing driveways out as we're plowing, that is a substantial amount of work, and I'm not even in agreement that we should be looking down there, because I know we're going to be dealing with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to effect that goal. I like the fact that we focus on clearing those roads first, because I didn't like the ruts that we used to have, and actually this policy came in, and I recall this policy coming in a way to get rid of the ruts that were forming in the road, because our team couldn't move fast enough to get the roads plowed and then start removing the snow. So I like this policy, and I would object to employment dollars being spent trying to figure out how many hundreds of thousands of dollars it's going to take to not only plow this, but pick up that snow immediately, because that is the only solution to this is to do that. And we're way understaffed to start going down that road.
You're through the chair to council. Well, my concern would be if my grandmother was needing an ambulance. Sorry.
I think.
Okay, sorry.
Deputy Mayor Peterson is next.
Councillor Walls, I think that it really bears scrutiny. And I think that there are solutions beyond the ones that Councillor Sobel is mentioning. And I think that the solution lies deeper within our community in terms of human resources and our family community support services. It has just been here talking about snow removal. And I think that the job, the task of family community support services is to work collaboratively within the community, to set up partnerships that work in the best interests of community. And I think this is a place where they could put their efforts. And we could talk about things through FCSS recommendations in the event of priority snow events by asking them to coordinate volunteer services. And they could be coordinating those volunteer services through the Snow Angels. They could work in tandem with them, in partnership with them. I think they would be grateful for direction and for support, and it wouldn't be at any additional cost. I think the other thing that we could look at, there was a time past, and I don't remember, it was in the 1990s, in the early 1990s, Strathmore High School undertook fundraising in the couple of serious snow events, and they put their students to the task of snow removal, and they had a great fundraising event over the course of that 2 months, and it was highly, highly successful. And the residents were very grateful to that. I think that is a place for FCSS to put their efforts, and it does speak to those concerns, and it brings community together in a way that supports everyone. I think there is a solution, and it doesn't lie in Jesse's department necessarily, but I think it does lie within the council's purview and the purview of the greater community.
Okay. So then are you suggesting then, Councillor, Deputy Mayor Pearson, are you suggesting that we direct this to administration to give us some recommendations? Because that's what I'm looking for.
Well, I think we could do that. I think we could ask FCSS to look at further coordination events through their volunteers. I think that's what they do anyway. And if they're willing to accept our idea, I don't know if we need a motion, but certainly a suggestion or a recommendation. Yeah.
Because ultimately, in my opinion, there's a safety issue here when we have people trying.
It's also a community issue, right? It's a supportive community issue.
And this is a continual. It's not just like this only happened because of the big snow we just had. This has been an ongoing concern. I know she's come, and this lady in particular has come and spoke to administration and expressed a concern. And I think there's other people out there that are in this exact same boat. And we just got to do what we can to see how it. So I'm looking for some recommendations on exploring some options. I understand, Councillor Sobel, it's going to be an expensive venture, but I'm not suggesting that that's something we go down. I'm just saying we have a conversation regarding it. Because ultimately there's a safety issue in there, in my opinion.
Councillor Field.
Following along with, thank you, Your Worship, following along with Councillor Peterson's ideas, I think this might be something that could easily be done through FCSS and coordinating and talking with the high schools. Perhaps SAY is something that could be looked at, or the student leadership groups, SLC at our high school. And since I'm at the high school, I could help as far as coordinating after a major snow event. Maybe we could earmark certain houses where we know there are elderly people who need to be helped fairly soon, and we could, I guess it would be like an offshoot of a Snow Angel group where we could use high school students to help in certain areas, certain places. I'd be willing to help coordinate with the SLC leader at our school, the teacher.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Baldwin.
Thank you, Your Worship. It wasn't too long ago, I believe, FCSS was making statements. We didn't have enough volunteers to shovel sidewalks for 65 people. Now we're going to look for volunteers to shovel, what, 1,000 or 1,500 driveways?
Yep.
I'm sure if an ambulance has to pull up in front of a house and there's a windrow there, they'll find a way to hop over it or plow through it or do something with it. So.
Okay, thank you. But I would always agree that we can look at solutions to different problems.
Definitely.
And I think we got a few ideas in regards to some of the areas that we are going to look at. And I would encourage Councillor Walls to do the follow-up in regards to the inquiries as to suggestions on how we can handle this problem. Yep. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you. Jesse.
we have one further item, 8.5 pivot fields.
Evening, Your Worship and Council.
Good evening.
I have a short report here to read to you. In 1989, the town purchased plus minus 580 acres of land from Kleiber Land and Cattle Company Limited, Cyber Investments Limited, and 301531 Alberta Limited. At the time of the land transaction, a ROFR, or right of first refusal, was registered via caveat against the land by the sellers, again, Kleiber Land and Cattle Company Limited, Cyber Investments Limited, and 301531 Alberta Limited. The ROFR gave the sellers the future option to purchase the land back at the same price as if an offer to purchase the land was made by another buyer before it is sold to another buyer, i.e., the ROFR holders would need to match the offer to purchase. At the time of the purchase/sale of the lands, there was no price negotiated, so the town is not bound to a specific price, and the town is also not obligated to sell because of the terms of the ROFR do not state as such. In addition, at the time of the land purchase sale, the town agreed to lease the land to one of the ROFR holders for the purpose of grazing for a period of 20 years. The lease expired in 2009. When the town took the lands over, negotiations between the town and the 3 ROFR holders commenced, which resulted in an offer from the ROFR holders. This offer expired at 4 p.m. on August 30th, 2013. Grant Kleiber, who is one of the ROFR holders, has invited the town to make an offer with regard to the removal of the ROFR and has suggested that the offer be in the vicinity of the most recent offer from the ROFR holders, which was $3 million. For further information, prior to the town commencing negotiations on the removal of the ROFR, it was felt that the ROFR allowed for the land to be subdivided and sold, and that the ROFR rights could still be acted upon on each parcel of land to be sold. The ROFR holders felt that the entire plus minus 580 acres of land must be sold as one parcel. As the town and the ROFR holders did not agree with the interpretation of the ROFR, it went to court for a decision, and on April 2nd, 2013, the judge ruled that the lands were interpreted as meaning the entire plus minus 580 acres of land. So the entire parcel would need to be sold if ever the town intended to sell. The question before council is whether or not the town is prepared to make an offer to the ROFR holders to have the ROFR removed, or if council will entertain other options, such as leasing portions of the land for commercial and industrial uses, retaining portions of the land for town facilities, such as a multi-purpose recreational facility, public works yard, or other similar uses. Administration is going to give council 2 recommendations, so it is at your discretion which recommendation you choose, or neither if you choose that as well. Recommendation 1, council direct that administration continue negotiations on the removal of the ROFR from the lands described in certificates of title numbered 911-012-758, 901-182-594, 901-182-595, and 901-182-596, and legally described as shown on the attached Schedule A. And Your Worship, you have a copy of that Schedule A. It's quite a long legal description, yes. So I won't read it aloud. And the second option is council direct that administration may continue negotiations on the land described in certificates of title numbered 911-012-758, 901-182-594, 901-182-595, and 901-182-596, legally described as shown on the attached Schedule A, and pursue other options, such as leasing portions of the land for commercial and industrial uses, retaining portions of the land for town facilities, such as a multi-purpose recreational facility, public works yard, or other similar uses.
Okay. Do we have any questions? No questions? Anybody wish to make a motion then, please?
Well, Your Worship, I do have one question here to start with. Through the chair to our deputy CEO. Are there any costs incurred to the previous landowner to put that caveat on that land?
Costs to put the roofer on the land?
Yes.
No, I don't believe so. Costs would have been minimal.
Why would they want $3 million to remove it then?
I can't answer that.
I wonder if they can. Thank you.
Any further questions? No? Councilor Buckland?
Your Worship, thank you. If I might read off a statement, if I could, please.
You could likely read your statement after the motion is made if it's not a question.
I can, but I prefer to read it before. After is fine too.
Because normally, before the motion is made, it's supposed to be for questions, and after the motion is made, then you make any statement.
I'm fine with that.
Your Worship, I'm prepared to make a motion if there are no other questions. Just preface that with the fact that it's council's responsibility to direct administration in many areas, including issues of this type, and I therefore direct that administration may continue negotiations on the lands described in certificates of title numbered 911-012758, 901-182-594, 901-182-595, and 901-182-596, and legally described as shown on the attached Schedule A, and pursue other options, such as leasing portions of the land for commercial and industrial uses, retaining portions of the land for town facilities, such as a multi-purpose recreational facility, public works yard, or other similar uses.
Councilor Buckland?
Thank you, Your Worship. I had a prepared statement written out I wanted to read into the public records here. Also noting the report our Deputy CAO just finished reading out to us at the end of the first paragraph there, where the town is also not obligated to sell because the terms of the roofer do state such. With all due respect to all parties concerned, I, along with the rest of council, would like nothing better than to see this matter resolved somehow. With the aforementioned offer to resolve this, however, I cannot support going down this avenue due to precariously putting Strathmore at financial possible dire straits, and furthermore curtailing any or all major products for 3 to 5 years coming up. I do encourage administration to continue further negotiations and look at other possible options regarding the lands in question. Don't forget, we've been working on this for close to 3 years now, so let's not just give up on it too easy. The other point I'd like to make is we have no municipal land left. So for future considerations, maybe we should consider keeping the lands for ourselves down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Motion is on the floor. All in favor of the motion? Carried.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Administration Committee and departmental reports.
None, Your Worship.
None? Councilor Sobel? Any committee reports?
No. The first meeting of the month.
Is that the first meeting of the month?
First meeting of the month.
It's on the agenda. I follow the agenda. I'm sorry. Alrighty, questions between councillors and administration. Councillor Sobel. No, his hand was up first.
First of all, I apologize to administration. I should have submitted this question ahead of time for any research that may need to be done, and I hate to put Jesse on the spot here, but I read recently that there's been some issues in municipalities that in regards to, I guess they're called wet ones or disposable wipes being used and flush down toilets and plugging pipes. Apparently this issue is really serious in some of the larger municipalities and is causing a lot of heartache for council in regards to infrastructure. And just my question is whether or not you're familiar with this area and whether or not you see this as something that this administration, this council should be concerned about in regards to our residents.
I was approached, or the town was approached by a group. I'm not sure exactly where it was from, but there's an organization. There was an organization that I believe were based out of either, I can't even remember right offhand, but they're trying to form a nationwide / North American-wide initiative to ban those materials from going into the sanitary systems. I posed the question to, and it's kind of a grassroots movement. Like it's very young in its initiative right now, but it's seems to be gaining a lot of momentum as these issues arise in bigger municipalities, it seems. And at the time that we were approached, I approached EPCOR and spoke with EPCOR about whether or not they felt that this was a major concern.
Okay.
At the time, they indicated to me that they did not feel it's a major concern in our community, and that's mostly based on not having seen a significant event as a result or a primary result of that. At this time, my latest information is it's not a major concern, but I can follow up with EPCOR to see if there's been any change to that. It hasn't been mentioned from a regional perspective in some of the discussions I've had with regional partners, but
I would appreciate that. I am very concerned about this from the information that I've read on this, and the problem, of course, is that these materials do not deteriorate anywhere near normal tissue, and they're causing serious blockages, and the dollar figure that I've been reading in some of these municipalities to repair this, some of the damages that's being caused is immense. I'm talking serious dollars. So I'd appreciate if you could keep on that with council's permission, and this is something I think we may have to have a look at and perhaps take some action on in regards to requesting even if it's nothing more than requesting our citizens not to flush these things down the toilet.
absolutely. I can I'll look into this further, and I can bring a report back in the new year if that would be okay.
Who was next? Councilor Bill?
Unless he was flailing again.
No?
I wasn't flailing again. I thought Councilor Peterson had
Okay.
her hand up.
Deputy Mayor Peterson,
Just
please.
with regards to Councillor Silva, one of the things that we could really encourage would be information in our local papers. It would be really useful.
Right, exactly, and hence the request that that our director look into this a little bit further and get some additional information. Absolutely, thank you. I have a motion next.
Councilor Ruffle?
Through the chair to, I guess, the rest of the council and to administration, I have mentioned this a number of times in the past, and I saw it again tonight, where we have staff sitting here for a couple of hours, and they answered maybe one or two questions when the time finally came. Why do we have to keep staff here till all hours of the night when we could move those items ahead and deal with them first, so that they can go home and carry on with their natural life, instead of sitting here and us paying them overtime? That's my question. Why?
We'll work on it and try and correct it.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Peterson?
Thank you, Your Worship. On another matter entirely, I would like to move that Councillor Walls be appointed to the Strathmore Library Board. And in speaking to that, Strathmore Library, through its mandate, is allowed to have 2 members of council sitting on their library board, and they would like to exercise that right. Councillor Walls has indicated that he would be willing to do that, so I would make that my motion, Your Worship.
Councillor Walls, accept that nomination?
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor.
Anyone want to compete with that nomination?
Any discussion? All in favor of that motion? Carried.
Thank you, Councillor Walls.
Thank you.
I did have one question for administration, and the question had to do with if we have a movie company coming into town to shoot a movie.
You cannot be in it.
Can we? Cannot be in it, okay. If we have a company coming in to shoot a movie, do they require permits, or do they ask us for any sort of direction in regards to policing or anything along that line?
I'll let Linda speak on that.
Your Worship, I had an opportunity to do a little bit of research on this. I'll have to do a bit further research, but I believe the film industry is provincially regulated, so they would fall under provincial jurisdiction. However, they should probably be notifying the town that they are coming into town, you know, just in case they need roads closed or blocked, etc. But I'm not sure that we have the ability to license them.
Okay. Okay. That was my question. We have another couple more nominations to make.
2 more motions.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
Okay, I would like to appoint the mayor to the Water Rose Community Futures Association Committee for the 2013-14 year.
I'll accept that nomination. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And there should be one more nomination.
I'd like to move that council appoint Rocky Blockland to the Chamber of Commerce for the 2013-2014 year.
And Your Worship, I was speaking with the president and the vice president, and unfortunately they at this time are unwilling to move their meetings to evening, and fortunately it does not work with my schedule, so thank you.
Councillor Blockland, you'll accept the nomination?
I'll certainly accept that, yeah.
So I'd like to make just a friendly amendment to that and include removal of Councillor Walls
Yes.
from that committee.
Thank you, Councillor Sobel.
No discussion on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Council invitations? None?
Move to adjourn.
All items have been covered. Motion has been made to adjourn. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.